Uh, Afifa is the one who's going to be introducing Hannan. So I think I will let, and I think she is Dr. Razi's mentee. So I will let Dr. Razi and Afifa drive the show today.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Afifa. She's been a great mentee and I've enjoyed working with her, and I think you will. There she is. Afifa, the stage is yours. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ansari, and thank you, Dr. Razi. It's truly a pleasure to be here, not only to listen, but also to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Mohammad Hannan. But before I give his bio, I would like to thank City Foundation for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to be here. I've been enjoying the program and I've learned many things from it. So now let me introduce our speaker for today. Mohammad Hannan is a senior consultant at Deloitte Consulting. He has more than 5 years of experience in cloud architecture. At Deloitte, he works on creating and developing hybrid cloud-based solutions with a focus on networking and security models. He also helps the clients in addressing their long-term digital transformation challenges. Hannan has a bachelor's degree from Mufakamcha College of Engineering and Technology in the field of electronics communication engineering. So during this talk, Mr. Hannan will cover his journey of developing projects for Texas Instruments and Synopsys. Additionally, he will also cover the recent developments in the semiconductor space, which present the exciting opportunities to the upcoming graduates. Students will learn how to engage and choose electronics projects with the industries and develop projects during this presentation. So I'm looking forward to this presentation as well. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to either put it in the chat box or raise your hand. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Hannan, can you please go ahead with the presentation?
Thank you so much, Afifa and Dr. Razi. Much appreciated. Although I must say, it makes me feel so senior, which I don't like to. So it's too formal. But thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate this. So hi, everybody. As Afifa. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I think there's some background noise. So as I was saying, thank you so much for having me. I think it's a pleasure to be with SETI for second year running. One of my roles is sort of serving as a mentor for a couple of people back in India and then sort of helping them navigate their career aspirations and things like that. Now, what am I going to cover today is a bunch of topics. First and foremost, I think as students of ECE, we need to realize that we are at a very big inflection point. I don't know how many of you follow news very intently, but as you may observe or as you may have heard, there is a huge shortage of semiconductor chips all across the globe. Now, what does that mean is people like us are going to be in very much demand for the next 5 to 10 years, and that is only going to increase from here on. So I'll talk a bit about the challenge, the different areas and avenues that you can pursue as an ECE engineer, and then more specifically, what did I do as part of my journey all the way through here. Additionally, I was told that, I have 50 odd minutes to present. So I'll probably, take a pause every 15 minutes or so as I cover a section. And then, please feel free to stop me, feel free to ask any questions. I want this to be more interactive rather than me just talking and showing some slides, and then you guys, not getting much out of this. So, as I said, let's be very informal. Please feel free to ask as many questions as you would like. So with that, I'll go ahead and try sharing my screen. Please let me know if it's up. This one. I'm gonna try and share my entire screen. Is this up? Are you able to see my first slide?
Yes, we are able to see.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll just give you a gist of what I'm planning to cover today, and then we will go about it. So let's start with an overview, right? Why are we here today? I think it's very important to understand the context. of what is it that you as an engineer and more importantly as an ECE graduate can bring to the table in any conversation, be it career-wise, be it technology-wise, or be it society-wise, as a matter of fact. Then let's take a bit of a couple of steps back and then understand what exactly do we tend to do in ECE, what are we supposed to do, what do we tend to do, and how are those two things slightly different. So let's try and find ways to understand what are the differences there. Then most importantly and very much relevant to today is what are we seeing in the industry, right? This is something that I have been working closely as part of my work as well, understanding how the global semiconductor market is changing drastically with so many things that are happening. Then I'll talk a bit about my timeline. Why did I do whatever I did during my engineering, and how did that tie into my future goals? How was I able to navigate those challenges and etc. And then we'll talk about a bit, how you can go from here as students. And I'm assuming you guys have pre-final years or final years. And then let's talk a bit about your project as well. So let's start with the overview, right? So ECE, I think, as a lot of you have already known by now, you guys tend to cover a bunch of topics, more specifically around, analog electronics, networking, communications, RF, IoT, and so much more. But as a student, now that you're looking at your career beyond engineering, right? So let's say you're in your pre-final year or your final year, what opportunities does it offer you? So in terms of career, I think definitely you guys can choose to go into core engineering, pursuing areas such as VLSI design, networking, communications, so on and so forth. But what it also offers you is a couple of other opportunities in consulting, things like networking, things like communications, things like RF, and so much more. So don't ever be under that assumption that, oh my God, I'm an ECE engineer, so I cannot do anything else outside of electronics. There is so much more that you can do that you don't just realize right now. So I'm here to tell you, I'm a prime example of that. Choose one subject that you love, probably networking, probably electronics, or probably communications. It can be anything under the sun. You can do so much just with that one subject. I mean, the limits are endless. There is so much possibilities to that. So that's, in a nutshell, what ECE can offer to you, right? But what you can offer to the subject and what you can offer to yourself in terms of your career is making sure that you're picking that one subject, right? Making sure that, while you are comfortable academically speaking about everything that you're learning about, pick up that one topic, pick up that one, core electronics or not core electronics subject possibly that you love, and start diving more deeper into that. Now, what I mean by that is, let us say you love, networking. So let's say, and in your pre-final year, you decide that networking is something that you're interested in pursuing. So you should also already start thinking about what is it that you can do differently in your networking subject. How best can you utilize the subject that you're being taught about, as well as making sure that those small initiatives that you take, things like maybe, writing a small, possibly doing a small project in networking. It could be as simple as emulating a switch in a virtual model, understanding what are the different certifications for networking that are out there. There are so many possibilities, right? I'm just giving you very few limited examples, but it's much more beyond this. We will cover more of this as we go deeper into this topic, but I just wanted to set the stage so that you understand, you're not pigeonholed into one topic because you're doing ECE. You have endless possibilities because of this, right? Subjects, I don't want to go much deeper into this, but what I wanted to do was, as you guys start getting into the industry, right, in terms of ECE, these are the broad categorizations that you will see in terms of how the job market is defined, right? If you're more interested in analog circuits, analog devices, you're probably more aligned towards the analog industry, right? Which is more focused on, things like creating modules, creating, circuits, and ensuring that these circuits are working fine within, the bigger electronic devices. So that's more around analog electronics. Digital, of course, as you all are aware, the chips that we use in our mobile phones, pretty much everywhere, all around, right? Your TVs, your computers, everything, right? All of that falls under the subject of digital, chip design, electronics, and so on and so forth. Communications, as is very prominent right now, your 4Gs, 5Gs, 3Gs, and pretty much everything that has to do with that. I think that's communications. And then there is so much more. Like I said, networking, nanotech, GPS, and all of these are vast fields within themselves. So as you can see, just within this one subject, as you get into the industry, there is so many more work streams that come out of this. So if you are somebody in your pre-final year, if you're somebody in your final year, now is the time for you to decide what subject suits you the most, right? Doesn't matter which it is. I'm telling you upfront right now. You can choose whichever subject you want. There is no shortage of opportunities. It's just a matter of you proving yourself in that subject so that companies are able to trust you with a job, right? So take a look at this, understand what it means, to be in these different subjects, and how you can, make sure that you are very focused from here on in terms of telling yourself and proving to yourself and to others that yes, this is one area where I would like to excel, and I would like to get a job, and or I would like to do a master's, and so on and so forth. This is probably the most important topic I want to talk about today because there is so much happening. As you guys, I don't know, you guys may have heard most of these buzzwords by now, things like IoT, things like 5G, cloud, internet, chip design, and so on and so forth. But what I really want to do is spend a bit of time explaining to you how is it that these things together are converging and, causing a huge impact on the globe. Now, let me take an example. Are you guys aware of what the Suez Canal is by any chance? I don't know if people can maybe just do a yes or no on the chat. So for those of you who don't know what Suez Canal is, it's a port that's in Egypt, right next to Egypt, and it is one of the most important ports in global supply chain. What I mean by that is anything that needs to go from, say, India to US has to pass through that port if it's going by ship. It is that important. And that is just 2 countries. I'm talking now, take those 2 countries and multiply that by 190. So that tells you the impact of that one port on the globe. Now, a month ago or 2 months ago, that port was blocked because of a ship that did not follow the right instructions or whatever. Something happened and that port was blocked. That ship, I believe, blocked the port for about 40 days, I think, close enough. Now, somebody did an interesting study in terms of how much that one ship blocking that one port caused an impact to the global economy. So what they found out was every day the global economy was losing about $8 to $10 billion, billion that with a B, just every day because of that one ship blocking that port. One of the major reasons for that is silicon, which is a component that is used to manufacture chips, and chips are some things that you use in every device now, right? Literally every device, from your car to your mobile phone and anything and everything. Silicon was one of the major products that was being shipped to other countries, and probably chips as well, and many more things. So that one ship caused an impact of $8 billion. Now look at another incident. Globally now, US and China, I don't know if you have heard this, but there has been a conflict in terms of, who retains the IP. So what do I mean by IP? Let's say you put together a design for a chip, right? BJT transistors and, your electronic gates and so on and so forth. You create a design and you emulate it and then you print it on a chip, right? Now, if you have created the design, ideally what should happen is you retain the design. If somebody else, let's say me or Ansari sir wants to use that chip, we have to pay you a royalty, or we have to make sure that we acknowledge that you are the owner of the design. Now, a lot of companies these days are fighting this battle of, territorial integrity with chips, which means, the US is telling companies that when you are making chips here, it has to be, a US IP. China is saying the same thing, and Taiwan is saying the same thing, and so on and so forth. So all of these issues, geopolitical as well as economic, as well as people like you and me buying more and more devices, is kind of making this whole problem much more acute, right? A lot of people now are going to face challenges in terms of their devices, in terms of their chips, which means your favorite iPhone, your favorite Android phone, your favorite PlayStation 5, Xbox One is not going to be delivered to you in a much sooner time. So earlier you would order it today, you would be able to get it tomorrow. Now you will have to probably order it today and wait for 5 to 6 months because there are no chips. There is so much shortage out there right now. So why is this happening, and how is this becoming much more prominent? And more importantly, how is this relevant to you as an engineer, and more specifically as an ECE engineer, right? Let's take a look at this. So this is your global GDP. But what do I mean by GDP is every country together probably produces or, generates this much revenue. So that is $85 trillion globally, all right? Now, just electronics electronics by that, I mean, engineers like you and me, ECE engineers are working for these companies. Just electronics generates $2 trillion, okay? And within that, more specifically, companies like Synopsys, companies like Texas Instruments, the companies that you have heard are core electronics companies. They generate 475 billion. That is like easily 50, close to 30 to 40% of the electronics, and in turn about, I'll let you do the math, between 5 to 10% globally. And then what do I mean by foundry, right? Which is sort of that last triangle, the last pyramid that you see, which is 63 billion. Foundries are basically places where your chips are manufactured. As an engineer, by now you should know this. You guys create chip designs on your computer, and then once that chip design is functioning, for example, let's take the example of a regulator, right? All your transistors are in region 2, everything is right. Then once the design is right, you send it to a foundry for the design to get manufactured, which means they take an electronic wafer and they imprint the design on that wafer so that it becomes a proper chip. So those are foundries. And foundries are at the heart of the problems that we are seeing right now. Any foundry in the globe needs 3 years to completely function, which means because there is a shortage right now in chips, people are building more foundries. But the problem now is if the foundry needs at least 3 years to come online, which means there is at least 3 years till this problem that we are seeing right now is solved, which also means people like you who are going to become graduates are have now more opportunities to be employed by these foundries because there are more and more foundries that are opening up. So you have a sure shot, goal in front of you. Let's say you're an ECE engineer and you're interested in digital electronics. So, and you want to be in this place, where chips are manufactured, where chips are built, where chips are designed, then now is the time for you. This is your moment. All you have to do is seize it. So this is just, I wanted to make sure that you guys understand, what are the different avenues that you can, pursue globally. So as you can see across the map, everywhere there is a semiconductor company. There is no place in the globe where you can say that there is no, electronics company that is not present out there. Maybe very, very few, but pretty much anywhere, Europe, Asia, Southeast Asia, US, of course, Americas, and even Russia for that matter, right? And in Japan, anywhere across the globe, as long as you are somebody with a talent and who understands this field, I don't think there is a shortage of opportunities, especially now. This is chip design process. I don't know how many of you, I'm pretty sure most of you are already aware of this, but I wanted to make sure that you understand, this is something that is going to be very important to you as an engineer, right? And there is so much that you can do in any of these places. This is the starting point where, you design a chip, right, on your computer. I'm pretty sure most of you have used these softwares, right? Things like Cadence, things like Simulink, and other softwares. I don't want to bore you with the names. So what you do is on your computer, you create a design. It can be a very simple design. It can be the most complex design, but you have to create it first, run a simulation. And then once you run that simulation, what happens is it tells you that, yes, this chip is in this region, this is going to be the output, this is the input voltage range, etc., etc. Once it satisfies your criteria, it goes to a wafer manufacturing plant, where a foundry basically, where what happens is that chip gets implanted on a silicon wafer. That is why silicon is most important to semiconductor companies. Then it gets packaged, tested, and then it goes to different OEMs. OEMs are companies like original equipment manufacturers. These are companies like your Apples, your Samsungs, your Nokias, and everybody who use these chips, and they kind of use many different chips to create one device. And then, as you can see, all of these words, right, which are very hyperactive right now, things like mobile, IoT, cloud, compute, so AI, analytics, and so on and so forth. Everything is dependent on this one process. Any of this process breaks, a chip design breaks, a wafer breaks, package, testing, OEM assembly, anything breaks, everything here is affected, which means in turn, everything that you and I use on a day-to-day basis is affected in chart. So next time somebody asks you, what do you do as an ECE engineer, show them this slide and tell them that I make or break all of these things that you use on a day-to-day basis, okay? I'll take a pause there. It's been about 20, 25 minutes. Any questions before we move on to, how can you guys leverage the opportunities available to you so far? I just wanted to make sure you understood what is it that you do and how is it that you can create an impact on the society around you. So I'll pause for a bit. Maybe any questions?
So guys, in case you have any question, whatever it might be, this is your opportunity to ask something. So
okay, I think Shafiq has raised his hand. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. Walaikum salam.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So you explained about global chip shortage and opportunities that are quite possible. Many of us don't even know how to approach these companies and what type of skills should we need to develop in ourselves. So can you please elaborate more upon the same? Thank you.
If you bear with me for the next 20 minutes, I promise I will tell you what I did, and I think that helped me get to these companies. So I'm pretty sure if somebody, an average student like me can do it, then I'm pretty sure all of you can do it. So just bear with me for the next 20 minutes. I will get to that part shortly. Any other questions? Okay, I'm seeing something in chat. Defining specification of a design. Sorry, I don't know what this means, but are you asking what does it mean by chip design? All it means is, you open up a software just like you're opening up PowerPoint, right? I open a PowerPoint, I create a slide. You open up a chip design software, and what you do is emulate the devices, your transistors, your diodes, circuits, and resistors, inductors, much more, right? So all it means is opening up a software, understanding what problem you're trying to solve, and then creating a design to solve that problem. That is what you mean by chip design. All right. I think we've got questions. So let's move on. just to be mindful of the time. So Shafiq was asking about, what is it that, how do we get to know about these companies and how do we get to those companies? So there are a few things that need to happen before you do those two steps also, right? See, what you guys need to realize is as a graduate, especially in India, where you have about 5 to 8 lakh people just graduating engineering every year, or there is much more than that, I think. I think there is just 5 lakh engineers graduating from Andhra Pradesh, if I'm not wrong, every year. So there are 5 lakh engineers graduating from engineering. That means there is at least, close to 50 to 60,000. If I divide just that figure, by 10 or whatever, there is close to about 80 to 90,000 engineers who are graduating ACE just in AP, Andhra Pradesh. Now multiply that by 30, multiply that by, so many more institutes and so on and so forth, which means it's that much tough for you guys to prove yourself. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's very difficult. All I'm saying is you need to make sure that you're doing a focused effort from early on in order to get there. What do I mean by that? I believe a good deal of you are either in your third year or in your final year. Some of you, those who are in second year as well, this is very relevant to you. It is very important to know from early on what is it that you want to do. I think one good thing that engineering offers you is by your third year, you're pretty much sure that either I want to do a core job, let's say if you're ECE, we're talking about ECE today, either you can pursue a core job in electronics, right? Or I'm not interested in core electronics, so I'll probably pursue something like, an IT job or something. Or I can probably choose to do masters in an engineering degree or so on and so forth. Or I can probably do something totally different, which is I'm more business oriented. So I'll probably do something like an MBA because I want to understand how business is solving, technology challenges and so on and so forth. So at a high level, these are available to you. I'm not saying these are the only opportunities. All I'm saying is it is very important for you right now to decide which of these 4 or what is that 5th or 6th thing that I want to pursue, right? If you don't know that, then nobody can help you, to be honest. I mean, if you still haven't decided that, hey, I'm in my final year and I still don't know what is it that I want to do, which is maybe fine, but then you shouldn't be expecting, core electronics or, a high paying job or a master's or whatever, right? You have to be very meticulous about what is it that you want to do. So identifying that goal, I think, is very important. You need to make sure that you know what is it that you're doing from either your pre-final year or your final year, but it is very important to do it as soon as possible so that life becomes easier for you and you are able to, use opportunities that come your way only in these specific fields and you're not overstressing yourself, right? Let's understand what it means to kind of go into each of these specific areas. Probably, let's start with core electronics, right? Like I said, I told you all the subjects, VLSI, analog electronics, IoT, so on and so forth. If you choose those subjects, if you like those subjects, then probably core electronics is a place for you. What this means is you're going to be working in companies that solve electronics challenges, right? Devices, circuits, probably your mobile phones, what goes into your mobile phones, chipsets, communications, how do you solve communication challenges, network on your mobile phone, networking in computers, and there's just so much more. That is majorly what core electronics is. Now, one thing that you will hear me talk more and more about is projects. I can tell you from experience that as an engineer, if you're just studying the subject, trust me, that is not enough. If you're telling me that you're an 85% graduate, you're a 90% graduate, you're scoring 95% in your exams, that is still fine. But if you're not doing projects, then you're not doing anything. Trust me. Why do I keep emphasizing about projects? And I will emphasize upon projects much more as I go into these next slides. Is projects is the only thing which will tell a recruiter or a college or anybody in the outside world that yes, you are able to do something on your own. What do I mean by that? Let us say this year you were in your pre-final year and you learned about microprocessors and microcontrollers, right? You studied all about 8081, you studied all about 8086, you completed the whole book Mazidi and Mazidi, which is sort of the Bible of that book, that subject. But if you haven't done a project, and if you've just scored 80, let's say if you've scored 90 out of 100 in that subject, still, what practical proof exists that can tell me as an outsider that you know the subject, right? Anybody can score high marks in an exam just by studying for 2 weeks, probably for 3 weeks, and that is it, right? You sit in every class and you don't study anything, you can easily pass the subject. Still, engineering is that common these days, right? How is it that you can set yourself apart? So go back to that number that I told you. Imagine now there is 1 lakh students that are graduating in ECE from your state, right? Your goal is to be the top, the first person for anything extraordinary in that 1 lakh group. What does that mean? Your competition is the other, 99,999 people. How do you set yourself apart? Now, let's do a bit of math, right? Let's say 1 lakh people are graduating. Now, eliminate 50% people because they are, probably, average students. They're not so interested in engineering. They're just doing engineering for the sake of it. So that leaves you at 50,000 people. Now, out of those 50,000 people, you're trying to be the first. You're trying to be one out of that 50,000, right? 50,000 people, probably, let's say 10,000 or 20,000 of them will have a distinction in their engineering. So now your competition is the 20,000 people. Now tell me, if 20,000 people have distinction, if 20,000 people are superstars in their engineering, and there are only 100 jobs, how will you set yourself apart? The competition there is 1:200. For every seat, there are 200 people that are applying, right? How is it that you will set yourself apart? Is projects. If you do a project in the subject that you love, that tells a recruiter, that tells a company, that tells a higher education institute in the US or in the Germany or in the Europe or in Japan or anywhere in the world, right? That yes, you love what you're doing and you can prove that by doing a project. So that is why projects are very important. Now, if you choose core electronics, coming back to the slide, what does it mean is you choose something like a VLSI design, you choose something like a networking project, you choose probably an analog design project. You can do anything. The possibilities are endless. But make sure you're doing something. And when you do something, make sure you let others know of your work. What do I mean by that is, right, you're doing projects today in your pre-final year. You're trying to do, let's say, you do, probably you emulate a microprocessor in your lab, right? That can be a project. But when you do that project, make sure that everybody around you, your professors, your school, your college, your peers, your friends, externally, your other colleges and everybody, they keep doing these design competitions, paper presentations, and so on and so forth. Try being a part of those exercises, because when you do that, everybody else around you knows that you are doing something extraordinary, and that is one of the most important things for you to set yourself apart, to become that one in that 20,000 people. Okay, so that is very important if you're choosing to do this, core electronics related opportunities within the job market. MNC IT firm, pretty straightforward. Trust me, all you need to do is be pretty decent in your academics, which all of you are. I'm pretty sure of that. That is why you are here. You need to care about your career, which is why, again, you're in SETI. Now, more importantly, you need to know something, right? So if you're an ECE engineer, you need to acquire certain skills to probably do an IT job, right? I'm not saying you need to do much. You need to acquire something that is drastically different. All of you are able to script your microprocessors and microcontrollers, right? You write code for that. All you need to do is just use that same logic and learn a different scripting language. It can be Python, it can be C, C++, it can be anything. But once you know one scripting language, it becomes very easy for you to understand anything else. That is why when these companies come to your college to recruit you, if it is an MNC company, if it is an IT company, the first question that they're going to ask you is, do you know how to code? And one of the most important things for you to know when coding is algorithms. Those boring boxes, etc., that you draw on papers, right? Flow diagrams. That is the most important thing in scripting because that will help you arrive at the right code. So you guys already know about algorithms. You've studied that in your first year. All you need to do is make sure that you're taking that learning and you're applying that to an actual scripting language, probably let's say C, C++. You guys know how to draw, how to refer to libraries. How do you write a logic for something as simple as addition, subtraction, multiplication, so on and so forth? As long as you know that, you're pretty good. And then, your academics, you do some scripting projects in your pre-final year and final year. I think that is much more than what is needed for you to get a job in an IT firm, as long as you're making sure that you are that one amongst 20,000, because for 20,000 people, there are possibly 5 to 10,000 IT jobs that are out there in the market right now, which means you have much more chances of getting an IT job just because the market is much bigger for IT compared to electronics right now. Okay. Masters in engineering. So let us say, I don't know if anybody ever told you this, but engineering that you're doing right now, the bachelor's, is probably a summary of all the engineering subjects that are out there. It is not a deep dive. By what do I mean by that, right? Analog electronics that you're studying, digital electronics that you're studying, VLSI design, networking, communication, so on and so forth. For every subject that you study right now, all you're doing is understanding what that subject means. You're not diving deeper into the subject. Masters is how you dive deep into that subject. So for example, let's say you decide that communications is a field for me, you love communications, then probably masters in communications is the way forward for you to actually get to know more about that subject. And once you do a master's, you kind of become much more approachable for a company, probably a communications company, for a job. All it means is you know that subject, you have learned that subject, and you've done a master's in that subject, and then of course you'll do projects and so on and so forth. So you kind of are enabling yourself to get a job in that one particular field that you love to do, of course, by learning more about it. And I think that's the way it should be. So that's how you typically approach, your master's in engineering. MBA and so on and so forth is more about, how do you solve more about business with the technology information that you know about. So let's say you're an engineer, you do ECE. So now, like I told you, semiconductor companies, right, they're facing this huge challenge about supply chain. So MBA, one of the major subjects there is operations and supply chain and so on and so forth. So as an MBA graduate, what you can do is help companies and countries solve this challenge of supply chain, right? If there is a shortage in a place X, how do you solve that shortage? What are the problems that you see? And those problems can't just be technical, right? They can be possibly labor challenges. They can be technology challenges. It can be anything for that matter. So applying that knowledge with the technology skill set that you have will set you apart for an MBA. And trust me, a lot of MBAs don't have a good enough information about technology, even though they're trying to approach, a technical company for a job or something. But, if somebody like you who already knows the technology now goes and does an MBA, I think it sets you apart very, very much because you already know what you're talking about, as well as you understand the business implications of what you're talking about. Before I go here to sort of get more deeper into how you can get more closer to companies like Texas Instruments, Synopsys, other electronics companies within your college, I'll take a pause. All of these overviews that I gave you just now in terms of degrees and so on and so forth. Do you guys have any questions? I think somebody raised a hand already. Can we relate cloud computing to core ECE field? Yes, you can. So I don't know the different syllabus that you guys follow. The different universities that you're from, but one of the core topics in ECE is, networking. I think you guys learned that in your pre-final year or final year. Networking is possibly one of the foundations for IT, right? There is a saying in IT that if you are in networking field, nobody can take your job away from you, because it is very important and it is a must for any and every company. So I think cloud computing, any technology will need networking at any level. So that is one of the first and foremost things to set up a cloud platform, is how to set up networking for cloud. And I think knowing networking is already a door for you to get into any cloud related work. Now, I'm not saying that is the only work that is out there. There is so much more to cloud, because I do that on a day-to-day basis. But as an engineer, as somebody from an ECE field, knowing about networking, knowing about scripting, the coding that you guys do, the algorithms that you guys write, and then understanding how all of these are used in cloud will kind of help you understand cloud more deeply. And I think that is one of the ways you can get more deeper into cloud computing. Okay, I'm a current ECE third year, interested in MBA, doing a job first for experience. What should I do? Prepare for my CAT, or simply focus on getting some IT job? Okay, there is no one answer for this. I think some people will tell you, and both the answers that I'm going to tell you are right. You just have to choose which answer applies to you. If you feel that you are ready for business school, if you feel that you want to immediately learn about business, then what I would highly recommend is go for CAT. You need to train yourself for CAT, right? These days, I think you need to score at least 99.9 percentile to get into an IIMs of your choice. So for you to get that score, you have to have a good deal of practice, which means at least 6 to 8 months of practice before the actual CAT exam. So if you're interested in IIMs, if you want to go to business school right after college, then by all means prepare for CAT, and then just directly go to business school. If, for example, you you want to get some experience, you want to understand the corporate world, and then choose an MBA. Because for some people, what happens is an MBA, you choose a subject, you choose a problem that you want to solve. And for you to know the problems that are in the corporate world out there, I think you need to get some experience. So probably, get 3 to 4 years of experience, or, whenever you want to be ready, 5 years of experience. Then I would probably recommend that CAT is not the ideal platform for that. I would probably, write a GMAT and then go for business school, either in, a school like Indian School of Business, or probably, schools in the US. I think those are better options. If you're a fresher, then definitely IIMs are the place for you. If you are not a fresher, if you have a good deal of experience, 4 to 5 years of corporate experience, then probably an Indian School of Business, or I think there are PGPX programs in IIMs as well these days for experienced professionals. Or again, go outside. But for these, if you have experience and you want to then go to business school, you'll have to write the GMAT. You won't be able to write the CAT at that point in time. So then it's your choice, right? Do you want to get experience, then to school? If you feel you're already ready, go for CAT. Totally up to you. Next question, I think, is keeping in mind. Oh, sorry, there is another question before that. What is the future for communications in India? Communication is already with it. I mean, all around you, right? Think about it. Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, all of these companies are deploying their 5G networks right now. So, I mean, that is the future right now, right? So many opportunities. I think it just depends on what window is open, how much proficient you are in your subject. I think you need to prove that. Only then you can get into these fields, because communication is a very niche field. There are not many positions that open up every year. So you'll have to be very, very extraordinary to be applying for those positions. What jobs can a newly graduate ECE apply? Well, pretty much everything, right? Like I said, you can either choose to go and code electronics, you can choose to go into an MNC, you can then probably choose to go for masters, and then I mean, pretty much every opportunity that is out there, you can apply for that opportunity. Keeping in mind that we have been at home for quite a time, practical knowledge, what should be our approach? See, this is a problem that everybody is facing, right? You are not the only person who's facing this challenge of practical knowledge. But tell me, how many of you have explored softwares that you can use to emulate electronic devices? How many of you have done courses on Coursera, on EduX, and any other platform for creating electronic devices, chip manufacturing, or what does it mean to do chip manufacturing? How does it work? How does the process work? What are the different technology companies out there? What are the different core electronics companies out there? What are they doing right now? Have you done that? I mean, you don't need to be in college to do that, right? I think just having a laptop and an internet connection is sufficient enough for you to acquire all of this information. So now tell me, if you do all of this, then you're already setting yourself apart from all of the others who are also remote, who are not going to college just like you. And to be honest, you're going to college to learn a subject, to get connected to your fellow classmates, and then sort of, understand what they are doing, how both of you together can collaborate and do something better. But these days, thanks to mobile phones, thanks to computers, you're still able to do that. You and I are talking, we are living in different countries, but we are still talking, right? So I don't think that is a challenge. I know, going to college is a different feeling and all of that, which is fair, but everybody is facing the same challenge. So how do you overcome that challenge? These are some of the ways, right? Exploring online platforms, understanding how is it that you can acquire, these skills that we are talking about today, right? Anything that you want to do, I'm pretty sure there is a course for that. All you need to do is do a course, call your friends, 3 or 4 friends, tell them that, hey, I did this course. I want to do this project because I did this course. Let's do this, right? You just need that. So I don't think it's a big challenge. All you need to do is just something to sort of set you apart.
There are a couple of hands up. Shahir wants to ask a question and Ayman wants to ask a question. So
Sure, go for it. I know we only have 10 minutes, so can we probably do quickly the questions? We have to cover a few more things, but go ahead, please.
Okay, Shahir, unmute yourselves and just ask your question, please. Quick one.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, my question is not so particular about EC, but precisely over IT firm. The thing is that today I could say that the knowledge I have about my core EC is precisely less than programming language or something else. So it's like my interest is in programming. Okay, so thing is that, sir, I am a EC third year student, but today I feel like I don't feel like so much connected with electronics. Okay, so my question is, sir, that tomorrow if I'm gonna apply for an IT job or something else, so one thing that always annoys me is if the interviewer gonna ask me that if you were interested in programming and that and all this stuff, then why did you join EC? So my clear-cut answer would be that my interest is in programming. But I always feel like, will it justify my answer or not? I mean,
Okay, yeah. So Shahir's question, Hannan, is very clear. He is from ECE but wants to do programming. How does he navigate the interview process?
So I think I was an ECE graduate. When I sat for my interview, I was asked about programming also, and I think I was able to answer those questions. My advice is, nowadays the world has shrunk so much that nobody really cares about where you're coming from as long as you're able to prove your value for that subject. What do I mean by that is, Let's say, like you, Shahir, you're sitting in your final year interview for a company, applying for an IT job, and you are an ECE graduate. Now tell me, when companies usually come to campus, they tell you about, a cutoff criteria. There is something called as a criteria to apply for a job. That I don't know if you've already seen this, but in that they clearly tell you that if you are an ECE graduate, if you are a CSE graduate, if you're an IT graduate, if you're in Triple E, whatever, you are eligible to apply. Now tell me, if the company is already telling you that you're eligible to apply, why do they care about it afterwards, as long as you're able to prove your value in the subject, right? They don't need to know, they don't need to worry about you did ECE, you did X, you did Y. All they care about is, can this person add value to my company? And how do you prove that? Is knowing about the topics that they are going to cover in the interview. As long as you know those topics, they have already filtered you through the cutoff criteria. That is now past, academics, your extracurriculars, everything. Those are what matter now. And then specifically to ECE, I don't think it is very different from your typical IT jobs. Like I said, networking, the coding that you do for your microprocessors, for your microcontrollers, as well as, in your first years, I think you guys learn about C, C++, C Sharp and whatnot. And then you guys learn about algorithms and so much. So it's not that ECE is, completely different from IT. It is related in certain ways. And then you doing ECE can also provide you an advantage over other students. For example, if it is a mechanical student versus you, I think those are two different people, right? Mechanical students don't have any idea about, coding or scripting or so on and so forth, because they don't have the subjects. But for you, at least, you know what it means to code. You know what it means to write a program for a microprocessor, for a microcontroller. So use that as your answer when you're talking to companies. And 9 out of 10 times, nobody even asks you at this point, because they've already set the cutoff criteria. They've already set the selection criteria. So it's irrelevant to them at this point.
Yeah. Ayman has a question, Hannan. Ayman.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Ayman, can you unmute yourselves and ask, please? We are unable to hear her. So let's go to Afifa. Afifa, your question? Can you ask your question, Afifa?
Yes, sir. Like,
Yeah,
I want to know that, like in this practical world, we definitely have to come out with a project in future or wherever we go for a job or anything. But what if we face a failure in, like if we experience a project failure? And I also want to know that if you have ever felt like this, like if you have ever experienced a project failure, how did you overcome that?
Oh, good question. Great question. So at the outset, remember, projects are for failure. Remember that. If you're not failing in your projects, if you're not, if you're doing everything right, then that means you're doing nothing right. Trust me on that. What do I mean by that is, you right now are in the most, how do I say this? In the most luxurious phase of your life, in your college, in your projects, you have the luxury of making mistakes. A mistake that you do will not cause any problems. Let's say you're designing a chip, okay? You make a mistake. This is fine. You go to your professor, you talk to your professor, you talk to somebody else, you fix that problem, and then you again start designing the chip. In the real world, if somebody who's designing a chip makes a mistake, that mistake is worth at least $1 million. That is the bare minimum, and companies will not tolerate that. So those are two very drastically different things. Now, why am I saying that it is good for you to fail in projects? Because you will fail in projects in your college, you will know what not to do when you're working in the real world, right? And this is how you navigate failures. And this is how we also faced a lot of failures when we were doing our work. I think one of the most important things to remember is you always need to work in a team. you cannot do everything by yourself. Believe that fact. That is the bare minimum reality of today. If you are somebody who is telling that I can do everything, then you can do nothing literally for that matter. So you need to have a team of people who know what is it that you are working towards and who believe in that cause. The cause can be as small as creating, simulation in MATLAB. The cause can be as big as participating in a competition for a major company. It can be anything, right? But if you don't have people that believe in that cause, first and foremost, you're not going to achieve anything. So that's step one. Have people who around you who believe in what you're doing and who are willing to help you, right? That is first. Second, as you start failing, you will fail in something, the people around you will fail in something. Understand why that happened. The why is most important. Why, if you don't know, if you don't deep dive into why did I fail, you will never learn anything. That is one of the foremost reasons why companies stress on projects in your engineering. If you're doing projects, which means you're approaching failures, you're trying to tackle failures, then that means you're already thinking how to solve challenges, how to think preemptively. So the next time you do that in a company, for example, you're writing a piece of code and you got, let's say, 500 bugs, right? So the next time you write that code, you know that 500 bugs are going to come if you do these five different things, right? So you already know how to avoid those 500 bugs. That is what companies are looking for. So when you talk about a project, don't talk about I did X, I did Y. Tell them about while doing X, I learned about this. I learned about XYZ and so on and so forth. That is the most important piece. And doing that with your team is the only way for you to solve those challenges. You have your professors around you, you have online, Google, there's so much on Google right now. But if you don't have people helping you to do those things, you will never be able to solve those challenges. So make sure that while you are aware of the problems, being aware of problems is very easy, right? You run a simulation, it tells you that these five problems exist, and that is why your code or probably your device or your simulation is not running properly, right? I mean, all you need to do is solve those 5, 6 different things, talk to your professors, look it up on Google, read different papers that are out there that will tell you at least how to approach that problem. And then it's your brains, your teammates' brains that will solve that problem, right?
Yep. There's one more question, and then I guess you can continue with your presentation. And
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So this question is a fairly specific one. I will just read it out for you. This is from Ayman in the chat. It says, I wanted to ask a specific question. I'm interested in pursuing nanotech. So should I focus on a project related to nanotechnology while doing my BTech? Or should I leave this as a subject that I can tackle for MTech?
Well, if you already know you like something, might as well get started on it, right? So somebody else is going to wait for MTech. Why do you need to wait for MTech? Start on it right now. See, as part of your engineering, you will anyways have to do all of those subjects that are in your syllabus, right? Do that on your daytime. Take out a couple of hours every day to understand what this technology is. What are the different companies that are working in this technology space? What are they doing? What are the problems that they are trying to solve? And then, of course, you cannot solve all of those problems, but it will at least give you an idea of the type of work that is happening in those companies, right? So I don't think you need to wait for MTech. I would highly recommend start right now. That will give you an idea about how to, what are the challenges that are out there. And then that will also help you for your master's, right? In your master's, you need to do, I think, a couple of projects full time. You need to, I think, write a few theses or things like that. That will help you pick topics for that, right? So I don't think you need to wait. Start on it right away, please.
Perfect, Hannan. Thank you. If you have a few more slides, Hannan, then let's just move ahead in the interest of time.
Yeah, I think
for the students, if you have questions, please keep on typing in the chat. Okay. So.
Yeah, we'll do it. I just want to do two things. In the next, I think I'm going to set a bad precedent, but every time you sit in a session, right? Every time somebody tells you something, ask one of these questions. This should be your first question. How is it relevant to me, right? So let's say I'm talking about ECE today, I'm talking about engineering and so on and so forth. The first question that you need to ask yourself is, if I'm spending 1 year listening to this guy talking about engineering, how is it relevant to me? What value is it adding to me? So if I were to tell you this entire 1 hour, the value is this one slide that I'm showing you right now. This is what I did. This is what an average student in a college in India is able to do. Now you decide how is it that you can take this and then go beyond, right? What is it that you can do using this as an example? So I think most of you are in your third year or final year, but I just want to walk you through what the timeline was, at least for me. And this is for me. I did this in real time. That is why I'm talking about it, okay? First year, pretty much the basic side. You understand what engineering is all about. You understand, what other colleges are doing, what other syllabuses in other colleges and things like that. And how is it your engineering is different from any other engineering that is out there? How is ECE different from mechanical? How is ECE different from IT, CSE, and so on and so forth? By the time you come to your second year, you're already learning about ECE much more deeply. You're going to get into much deeper subjects and so on and so forth. This is where you start identifying, how is it that you can do small things, right? For example, in your labs, we are probably being taught MATLAB. We are probably being taught any other analog devices subject, right? Or electronic design, right? For that matter. How is it that these subjects interest you? What is the most interesting topic? It can be a transistor. It can be a diode. It can be, probably a formula, a Fourier's transformation, or so on and so forth. Choose anything, doesn't really matter. But deep diving into that, understanding how that is relevant to things around you. A transistor is probably a device that you can find in every electronic thing that exists around you, from a TV to a mobile to a computer and so on and so forth. Then if you start doing that in your second year, when you come to your third year, you're already experimenting, right? You're trying to do things. Now, I'll give you two examples very specifically. So when we were in our third year, and I hope you guys are also thinking about this, Texas Instruments, it is a very major electronic company. They do an analog design competition every year in India, where they invite colleges to take part in their electronic design challenge. What that means is they give you a problem statement. You have to solve that challenge. All you need to do is go to their website, register, get your college to sign up for you, to nominate you. And then they give you the latest electronic devices that they are manufacturing right now. For example, if you decide to make possibly a multi-processor, they will give you an MSP 430. I'm hoping that you guys know what an MSP is. MSP is Texas Instruments line of microprocessors. So they give you that for free. All you need to do is register for that competition, get your college to nominate you for that competition, and they will give you everything that you need to create whatever it is that you want to create, as long as you're participating in that competition. So find out what other companies are doing. Every company, I'm pretty sure, is doing this. Every electronic company will do this. So use this as an example. Understand how you can, solve these challenges for them. How you can probably go to, go create something for them, right? All you need to do is register online. So you need an internet connection to register, and that is it. You need a team of 2 or 3 people, and they will give you everything that you need to do, and you just need to do it. As simple as that. So once you've done your third year, possibly these couple of things, now you're in your final year. Final year, I think academics kind of take a backseat because there is not much to do in final year. So this is where I think you have about 12 months to spend on your what you have learned so far and applying it. So in my final year, what I did was there is a major electronic design company called Synopsys that also does challenges for students every year. So what does that mean is they train you for 2 weeks on their software. Mind you, this is industry software. that they are using in real time. So they train you on that, and then they give you a problem statement. So my problem statement was to create a design regulator. So as part of this exercise, we got about 6 months. So we were trained for 2 weeks. They gave us access to their software for 6 months, and then they told us to, solve that problem. So we solved that problem. We wrote a paper on that problem. We sent that paper to other forums like IEEE and a bunch of other presentations. Um, and I think that was one of the most exciting things that we did in our final year, to be honest. I mean, I don't remember much of the subjects, but I remember this project from my final year. So it was that interesting for me, at least. And then, if you're doing all of this, I don't think it's very tough for you to get placements. And, I don't think it's much tough after this, right? So you're already doing projects, you're already getting connected to companies. And as part of these challenges, if you do good in these competitions for these companies, they will automatically consider you for job opportunities. That is one of the easiest ways for you to get into core electronics companies. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend to pursue this. This is, one of the most simplest channels. Of course, you need to put an effort, but I think it's there, once you do that, sky is the limit for you. So that's what I did, right? What is it that you can do, right? This is what probably, I think this is your food for thought for today, right? If you're in your third year, if you're in your final year, if you have time, which most of you have, what is it that you can do from today till the time you graduate, right? Pick a team of people, people who are close to you, people who are technically sound, people who are good at academics. Pick up 3 to 4 people. Identify 1 to 2 areas that you can do. It can be any area in engineering. If you're interested in IT, please pursue IT. If you're interested in ECE, please pursue any subject that you want to do in ECE. But pick a topic, right? Does not need to be something very broad. It can be a very simple topic. It can be a very complex topic. It's up to you. But pick a topic and then start solving a problem in that topic. Find out what is it. Just Google that topic. Go to, search for, let's say, for example, electronic design, right? I would just Google for problems being faced by electronic design companies. It will give you a list of 100 different problems. Find out what is it that you as an engineer with the knowledge that you have can do to solve those problems. You need not solve all the problems. You need not solve every problem. All you need to do is pick a statement and work for that statement. That shows that you are aware of the industry as well as you're aware of, the problems that exist in the industry. So when you sit for an interview tomorrow in a core electronic company, for example, they already know that yes, this person knows about the field. This person has made an effort to work in this field, right? So that's probably my homework to you. That's the end of my presentation. I don't have anything else. I know we are a little over the time. I'm sorry for that, but more than happy to answer any questions. And I hope you guys understood something at least from me. Worst case, if you haven't understood anything, just remember 2 things: Synopsys, Texas Instruments, their design challenges. Go to their websites, find out if they are doing the same thing for this year. If not, try and identify any other electronic companies: Broadcom, Qualcomm, Intel, so on and so forth, IBM. All of them do this every year. Find out what is happening right now. Become a part of that, competition. And that is the easiest way for you to learn so much. And that automatically becomes your final year project. As simple as that. So, Ansari sir, hopefully that was valuable, at least to a certain extent.
This was perfect, Hannan, as usual, very, very helpful to the students, very interesting, very valuable advice, I think, especially, this one slide that is here and that I can see still. The important thing there, I think, is to understand that you can only benefit from the company of good friends. And in fact, friendship can result in benefit for everybody. So think about doing projects in the company of your friends. Learn from each other, be enthusiastic about particular topics, motivate each other. And I think that can be very valuable to everybody. Any questions that anybody has? Hannan, you can just switch off the presentation and then we can take a few questions.
Sure.
If you can just raise your hand and ask the question if you have any, otherwise we will wind up.
Yeah, no, I mean, please feel free to ask questions. This is your chance. I'm more than happy to help you with whatever information I have. Think.
Looks like we are done then. Anybody, one last, call for questions?
Asim, can I make a point?
Sure, Bashar, why not? Please.
Yeah. No, Hannan, I like that slide where you gave the timeline. That was really wonderful. Year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. You made it so simple. And I think that's applicable for all those who are engineering, irrespective of the branch they are in. And it's an excellent route map. And then if they stick to it, I'm sure things will look much simpler to them. Yeah, I think that they should, Asim, they should really follow that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. No. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Hannan, you go ahead.
I was just saying, timeline, I think it is relevant to everybody for sure. But one thing I want to, let everybody know, see, it is easy for me. It is easy for anybody else outside, your family or your mentors or anybody for that matter, to tell you that, yes, now you have to do this. Now you have to do 5, 6 different things. But what is important for you at this stage of your career is to be very specific about what is it that you are doing. If somebody is telling you to do 5 things, the first question that you need to ask is why. You don't need to just tell simple yes or no. Ask them this question. Why is it that you are telling me to do this? If I am investing my time in doing 5 things, how is it adding value to my career? Start asking this question more often. If I am telling you today to do these 5 different things in engineering, I showed you my timeline. If I am telling you something, your first question to me is, okay, Hannan, you're telling me to do these 5 things. Why should I do this? Why should I not do something else? And my answer would be, I did this in real time. I experienced this while I was doing my engineering, which means it is a tried and tested pattern. And trust me, following tried and tested is always much more simpler. I'm not saying path breaking, but it is much more simpler. But what that also means is you as a student can create your own timeline. I'm not saying follow just my timeline and only my timeline. All I'm saying is this is an example. This is a frame of reference. Use this as a frame of reference. Ask that question to yourself, to your mentors, to your professors, to your friends. What can we do from this that will add value to our careers? If you are not doing that question, you're doing yourself an injustice. Always keep asking that question. Anybody tells you to do something, the first question that you should be asking is, why is it that I should do this? Why can this, if I do this, does it add value to me? If not, then what's the point of doing it, right? Okay, I think you guys have gone radio silent. So does that mean you did not understand anything? Or you understood everything? It's one of those 2 possibilities.
You are absolutely clear. You are absolutely clear, Hannan. In fact, what you said, that it's a frame of reference. And it's anybody who gives you a suggestion, take it as a suggestion and see how it applies to you. And as you said, what is there in it for you and how you can make it relevant to yourself. I think you made a great point.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have saved your my screen share of that slide. Probably when I do my time management, I'll use that slide. But I found it to be very interesting and something new. Because you're so specific.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send this over to Asim sir as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so specific in that. But otherwise, they get lost where to make a beginning, how to move forward. So that's a reference from which they can draw their own plans.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And then since everybody is an EC graduate, I think my request to you is, you've learned whatever you've learned. I think more than happy to share the presentation. But my request is, you guys have so much time on your hand. You guys are right at the cusp of so much change that is going to happen that you don't even realize now. Trust me, for the next 3 to 5 years, all you are going to hear about is semiconductor chips across the globe. So now is the time. If you're interested in ECE, this is your opportunity. Take this, use this to the best available benefits that you can, and do your best. Give it your best shot. Inshallah, I don't think if somebody as average as me can do something in this field, people like you who are doing extraordinary, mashallah, you guys are getting mentored, you guys are getting so much. I mean, sky's the limit for you. So don't ever feel that you are lost. Don't ever feel that you don't have a window of opportunity. Don't ever feel that you are in a field that does not have much scope. This is the field right now. There is in infinite scope right now in this particular field that you are part of.
Asim, do you have a couple of minutes more?
Yes, Bashar.
Yeah, I'm very happy to.
I would like the mentees to really, at least 3 of them should speak for half a minute and tell what change they have noticed in them from the beginning of this program in last whatever 12, 13 weeks. At least 3 of them should tell us. Like the talk today, it was such a great. It gave you a sense of direction, and then and what you don't need to do, and what is there in for you. So similarly, what changes you have noticed in them, in yourselves, in this past 11, 12 weeks? Quickly, otherwise we will be holding you unnecessarily.
And this is again an opportunity to speak in a public environment. So, and there is no one right answer.
Excellent. Somebody has started. Listen, never lose an opportunity to talk. If somebody gives you a chance, grab the opportunity. Don't leave it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
See, somebody has raised his hand. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, may I go ahead?
Yeah, Shahid, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, actually, let me tell you, my mentor is himself only, Mohammad Hannan, sir. So there is a lot of, there are changes. Still, I am progressing. I try to speak in several sessions, and I always been shy and kind of student. So there is a change in my vocabulary or something, or in my self-confidence, self-esteem, and regarding my career also, career choices. So yeah, it helped me a lot, and it's still improving. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good, Asim. We have 6 hands raised now. I would love if everybody can speak for very shorter. See, when you can identify what improvements you're seeing in yourself, that's the biggest encouragement. It encourages you to move further. So that's why speak out. Yeah. Asim, number is increasing. I think we should listen to them.
Yeah, certainly. Yes, I think let me try to get to Zoya first. Okay.
Sir, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, I want to tell that we always have a feeling that we always have a feeling that computer science branch is very more prior to any of the fields, and in these epic pandemic situation, there is a lot of scope in computer science only. So I have a feeling that I chose a wrong branch, because all the jobs and scopes are related to the CS branches. So now by this session, I got to know that there are lots and lots of scopes, and we will do lot of things in EC branch too. So it clears my mind. So thank you so much for that.
Next.
Good, Zoya. So I'm glad that you are realizing the potential for ECE, almost any branch, mechanical, civil. It's just this is just the beginning of your career. You have about 50 years of productive life, and you can do many things. Just look at Hannan. He himself changed over the years so much. Okay, let's go to Shafiq.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So I would like to mention that I got Hannan sir as my mentor through this program, and the overall experience of this program is quite very enhancing. I learned to plan, to execute, to improve my communication skills, and it increased my confidence. Also, I would like to mention that today's session enhanced my knowledge and confidence about my field, that is electronics and communication engineering, in which currently I'm enrolled. Earlier, I had a misconception that this field does not provide much opportunity to its students, but today I got many things clear. Thank you.
Okay, very good, Shafid. You can speak very well, as is clear to all of us. So you should continue to take every opportunity. Nazir.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful opportunity to let us speak for some time. I am really thankful to everyone for conducting these events regularly and increasing our morale, because during this pandemic time, everyone nowadays remaining at home, maybe thinking something, we cannot do anything or like that. Alhamdulillah, SETI has helped me a lot to come out of that, and we were I suppose everyone were missing Razi ma'am for the past, maybe she wasn't there for some time, but Asim sir, no offense, you took the charge very well, and Alhamdulillah, we never felt her absence in your presence, Alhamdulillah. And all the mentors whom I am connected to are really humble, down to earth persons, and really enjoyed working with, learning from them. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Nazir, very good. Where are you from, Nazir?
I'm from Hyderabad, only, sir, CSE department.
Which college?
Lord's College.
Which one?
Lord's Institute of Engineering and Technology.
Okay, Lord's. Okay, perfect. Yeah, great, Nazir. So let's go to Ayman.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you for the opportunity. I have learned a lot during these past few weeks, these past few months, really. And the first thing I learned was to be proactive. It's like, especially during COVID, we became a bit lazy because there were no colleges. We weren't supposed to go out during the lockdown. But then CT taught me that you can do a lot from home itself, and you should do a lot from home itself. I learned how to, I taught myself to focus, even if it's on the computer. I taught myself how to focus on online courses and stuff. And then, as Hannan sir said today, about nanotechnology, he told me to don't wait for the future, don't wait for MTech, start doing what you can do now. So I should start researching on it. I should try to build my portfolio from today on, from today itself, from tomorrow itself. And I also learned I also learned how to break down my tunnel vision, because we did hear from many people in our lives that if you have too many paths open to you, or if you keep thinking about different paths, then you won't be able to choose anyone. You'll be you'll be indecisive for the rest of your life. But then CD taught me that you should never close down your paths. You should never shut off your doors, because you never know what the future has in hold for you, and you should always try to learn as many skills as possible and welcome what life throws at your way. Thank you.
Excellent point, Raman. If you want to start something, the time to start is now.
Very good. Yes, Hamad, and then Bazela, she has been waiting patiently. So, yes, Hamad.
Assalamualaikum, sir. So the SETI session has been going on for past 2 months. So what I have learned is that we were shown how we can communicate. We were shown that we can communicate with friends, and we were really unaware of our communication skills. So we were really motivated for that. And about how the internet has got us, and we were exposed to the internet world. We were just dependent on the books that we were provided. But in the COVID, and the SETI showed us the internet and how we can learn from the internet.
Very good point, Hamad. The basic thing to understand is that initiative is what matters, and there is so much that one can learn because so many resources are available. All you need to do is plan and execute. किसी के बोलने की जरूरत नहीं रहना चाहिए. So I think that's one lesson that we want to always sort of communicate to the students. Yes, Basira.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much, Anand, for such an insightful session today. As a lot of other EC students have told this, and I'll repeat the same, we have a lot of inhibitions and maybe insecurities that our cold field is not that much promising and IT is the leading industry. And today I just realized one thing, that it's not that the scope lies alone in the subject, it lies in the person as well. If you're good in something, we can excel at it no matter what actually the subject is, and there is scope in everything. So thank you so much for that you just made me believe that I haven't chosen a wrong branch, and this is it has a promising career as well. Apart from this, overall, this mentoring program is literally so helpful for all of us, be it the resume review. I mean, I can share a small experience. We share our resumes to our friends, and they'll definitely say, "Haan, ye acha hai, this is a good resume," and stuff like that. But having those expert words, "You are wrong here, you're right here," it improves us in so many ways. And thank you so much for that. Whether it is that my confidence has increased, whether it is that I have again started reading newspapers and started reading novels again, which I used to back then. But I mean, thank you so much for this. Is like an overall enhancement program. It's just not for whether to get us a job or something. It's improving us as a person. So thank you so much for that.
Perfect, Basila. I think Farhadi Bab, chat se kaam nahi chalega beta. You have to speak.
This was very well put, Basila. Farha has something in the chat, and in fact,
I think she should speak.
Arshan also wants to speak. So let's start with Farhadi Bab. Farha, bete aap, you can unmute and speak.
We will not move forward, Farha, unless you speak. बात तो करना पड़ेगा बेटा. There is always the first time. चलिए बात कीजिए.
Okay. Farha, while you prepare to speak, let's.
I think there's some problem with her mic, it seems.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let you go, but remember, next time when we meet, you'll talk about yourself. And I see one point I want to make about what Basila said. But the intention of program is this, to make an overall improvement in every mentee. That is the intention, not to just make you a good professional, but better human being. You should know yourself, where you stand, what is your ultimate goal, what is the route map going to, how you're going to achieve your goals. And then all the mentors and then speakers are coming to you. They really want to help you. That's why they're giving all kind of points and tools. That is the intention. And then one thing we want all of you to remember throughout your life. Inshallah, you all will progress in your life, reach higher positions. Look back and remember that the community sometime at some point in time, they held your hand to pull you out of whatever difficulties you're facing, and this you will transfer it to the younger generation thereafter.
Yeah, Basharat Bhai is making a very, very important point. Remember that, for example, today Hannan, took 1.5 hours of time from his life just so that he can come and present in front of you. Maybe 5 years down the road, 4 years down the road, you may want to, do the same for others. And so it's absolutely important for all of us to sort of, not only think of ourselves, but also think of the community and what we can do for everybody. Arshan wants to speak. So Arshan, can you unmute yourself, please, and speak?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm very much thankful for City Foundation for handpicking me for this mentorship program, and Alhamdulillah, it was a very great session today. Not only this session, but from last three past months. Sessions have been wonderful, and hence I'm waiting for my presentation. When I got to know you have to present something at the end, I made my point at that time of period I would present on city. So I have decided my topic as what is city foundation and my honest review as a city. I'm eagerly waiting to present, and thank you Asam sir for always being there. And I will also like to thank Basharat Ali sir for organizing everything, and all the mentors who have been there and all the mentees, and thank you City Foundation. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. So you are Sohaib Hamid's mentee, right, Arsha?
Yes, I'm Zohaib Hamid's mentee.
Okay, wonderful. Yes. Great. Anybody else wants to
I
talk?
I think Barira, she did not speak.
Okay, yeah. Barira can speak, and Amreen is also here. Maybe she can speak a little bit. There is.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I missed the session today, and I'm very sad about it. I just missed. It just got missed from my mind. So I was like, very interesting session today. I was hoping to join it and listen to it, but sir have helped me with the video, and surely I will see the video and maybe and hoping it will be helpful for me also.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah.
Actually, Barira, what we're discussing is each one of the mentee who are present today are telling us how this program has helped them, what changes it has brought in them in last 3 months. So do you take half a minute to say a few points?
Yeah, sir, sure. So about the session, it is the best thing which have happened to me during this lockdown. Actually, this has kept me so motivated and productive and interested about doing new things and knowing new people and knowing how to interact with them well, and the career opportunities which I can take in future. And it really has helped me a lot, and I'm very thankful for joining this session, sir.
Excellent. Yeah.
Sayyada, there is Sayyada here, there is Amreen, if you want to, unmute yourselves. Afifa has raised her hand. Maybe let's start with Afifa, and then, just putting on alert Amreen and Sayyada if you want to add something. Yes, Afifa, please.
Yes, sir. Actually, I want to agree with Eamon. Like she said that lockdown we are facing laziness kind of stuff. Like that's a true fact. It happened with many of them. And like we are having this program, Seti Foundation. It has benefited a lot. Like we could get out from that stuff of laziness, and we could concentrate on other things, on our specific goals and all. So I would like to stress on this specific thing that no event can be successful like without the people who dedicate the resources and time to make sure that everything is flawless and perfect. So that will be thankful for all the mentors, and my mentee, my mentor, Dr. Nazneen Razi, also helped me a lot in achieving my goals, and I've been focusing in a very proper way. So I would like to thank everyone for this.
Afifa, you should know that if you succeed, we succeed. That's why it's very important for you all to succeed in your life. And that will be our success.
Inshallah. Sayyada?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So the session was really helpful. I'm thankful to all my mentors. We all needed a start, and SETI provided us with the perfect start. As Hannan sir told us, we need to be a bit different, and SETI is available to all the resources, and now all of us have gained a lot, and we are clear in mind to various career opportunities we can take.
Inshallah, never
Thank
look
you,
back.
This is just the beginning and much to explore.
Yeah. It's very, very heartening to hear all of you. And I think many of you, almost all of you, are excellent in your communication skills. Of course, everybody needs to improve in life. but you have the whole world in front of you, and you can achieve almost anything that you put your heart to. So Amreen, yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
This city program, this mentoring program is really helpful for me. That I used to program these things to do now, but this program has helped me to do the things on the time, like the reading that in the breakout sections we have done. So it's very really helpful for me to do the things on the time, and it mm, during this program I learned that the most of our career paths which I can go for it and opt for it. So like the doors are open for us, and we can do what we want. So
Very
this
good.
this was the very appreciable programs, mentoring program. Thank you very much, sir,
That's
for this
great.
opportunity.
That's Asim, they're speaking so well, all of them.
Yeah, mashallah. So
Really, I'm really very happy to hear them, all of them talking so fluent.
Yeah,
Expressing your thoughts, na beta, that's one important thing. And you are all doing it so well. Congratulations to you all.
there is one person here whose name is not visible. I don't know. Asus is the brand name of the phone, I guess. I'm not sure who this person is. So
I think you should put his name, Asim.
yeah, but I have no idea.
Please log in with your name always. Who's this?
Maybe somebody new, not in the mentoring program. It's possible.
You find out who's he.
Asus, can you just unmute yourselves and maybe let us know who you are without worrying too much. Anyway, I guess we are almost done. I don't think there's anybody else left. Anybody here who hasn't spoken? Very good, excellent. So, kya Visharad bhai?
I think, thanks, Rudy. Hannan, it was really an excellent session, Han. I came late, though I'm not from this line, but really, it made me feel so nice when I was able to understand. I'm sure that the students from of EC this must have been very clear to them.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, it was a phenomenal session, Hannan. Thank you once again. You did it last year, and again this year. It has been very, very.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping that this was at least very, somewhat helpful. But if there are any questions, more than happy to, connect offline and talk to any of these mentees.
Sure,
More
and
than happy
it would
Feel
be
free to
great
reach out.
if you can,
Yeah.
They can always write to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely,
also, Hannan, if you can share the presentation maybe in PDF form or something, I will post
Inshallah, I
it.
will do, sir. I'll do that today. Sure. Yeah, I'll do that today. Yeah.
Ji. Thank you very much once again. So, inshallah, we will, meet again. So, with that, I guess let's wind up and finish this session.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Good luck. All the best. Take care.
Allah Hafiz. Bye-bye.
Allah Hafiz.